My name is Brandon. Thank you both for being here. I guess my question is a little similar, but I'll ask it anyway. Dr. Shabir, you mentioned, I believe, a couple times that the Quran is not an actual book of, not historical narrative, but it's supposed to provide lessons. If that is actually the case, then should we really take it seriously concerning the, I would say, the non-death of Jesus Christ in the Quran if there's so much historical claim backing up that he actually did die?
Yeah, well, if there were actual historical provable statements to show that Jesus actually died on the cross, then I would want to interpret the Quran in the light of that history. Yeah, well, if there were actual historical provable statements to show that Jesus actually died on the cross, then I would want to interpret the Quran in the light of that history. But as we have seen, there is much in the Gospels to indicate that perhaps Jesus did not die on the cross, and people just actually developed the idea that he died on the cross later on. Because look at the Psalms that they were quoting to prove what happened to Jesus. They are Psalms that indicate that the person was rescued, and it's not one Psalm. And it's not only the Psalms, it's also Isaiah 52:53. How does it begin? Isaiah 52 verse 13 speaks about one who will be rescued from death. And Isaiah 53 shows that this person will have a prolonged life. This was interpreted as referring to Hezekiah, who in Isaiah 38 itself is shown to have come close to death, but God added 15 years to his life so that he could have children. So Jesus, we know from the gospel narratives, did not have children, but in the Muslim conception, it is possible that when he comes back, he will marry and have children. The Muslim conception actually fits the prophecy in Isaiah better because his life is extended and he is able to see his children. If we look at the Psalms 22, which is quoted with reference to the cross, that shows a person being rescued. We look at Luke saying, Jesus said, into thy hands I commit my spirit, from Psalm 31. That too shows a person who will be rescued before dying. So all of these indicators are there in the Bible. So it is a problem for David, not for me. David is saying, but Shabir is just picking the things that he wants from the Bible. But the point is that David is saying, let's go with the bare facts that the scholars attest to. But then, after you know those facts, come back and accept everything that you know from the Bible. But of course, that is the problem. If you come back to accept everything you know from the Bible, you see all of these indicators staring you in the face, showing that Jesus must have survived and not died.
Is that what everyone heard me argue? I argued for a couple things, basically things that we can know, things that we can know historically, things that we know why we believe them, and the scholars across the board agree to them, and we see them in our earliest sources. We see them in the next generation of Christians who knew the apostles and would have known if they were saying something that was out of line with what Peter and John and so on were saying. And every step of the way, it's death and resurrection. And where does Shabir go? To the Psalms, prophecies in the Psalms. How does he know that Christians were quoting them? Because they quoted them in their sermons, the same sermons where they preach Jesus' death and resurrection. And then he just cited Isaiah 53 as about Jesus. By oppression and judgment he was taken away. Yet who of his generation protested? For he was cut off from the land of the living. If that's not dead, I don't know what is. Over and over again, sources that say he died, somehow they mean he didn't die.
Thank you.